Okay, welcome everybody. It's Christina Merkley here, and this is the process pop-up that I have been running. Welcome, thanks for coming. I try to do them on different times and dates so it can accommodate different schedules for people. So you're the Sunday crew, welcome. So this is an emergent thing, right? This is session 13. Some of you have attended maybe all of them, some a couple. Some of you, this is your first time. So it's a bit of a challenge for me being a container holder. I love that we've got ebb and flow happening, and I'm keeping it an open group, so totally happy for that. But each time I have to do some container setting just to kind of explain what I think the container is now. And you know what the norms are and stuff for us to how to be with each other in as supportive and safe way as possible. So I'm screen sharing, so you should see a little doodle map here, which is a meeting startup, and this is a work in progress. But these process groups, I had some existing infrastructure and I converted it to be able to support as COVID was rolling into North America, to just be able to, first it started with the working visually community, but I've really expanded that, especially as 2020 has continued to gift us with all sorts of subject matters and topics that are just really core and really moving all of us as human beings and across the planet. So what I mean by processing is mental and emotional processing. So ways of being with and working with however things are particularly impacting you and each other as a community here. So desired outcomes is just really to support during these transformative times. Also an invitation to come as you are. So often I will share something called the emotional scale. I may or may not do that today, but basically what that is a whole scale of emotions that we have as human beings, from stuff that we turn on ourselves, grief and fear and lower kind of self-esteem, shame stuff that we point out, which is actually a progression up the emotional scale. So anger and rage and frustration and hatred, those are actually higher emotions from the ones we turn on ourselves. And then of course it's nice to keep on going, and we get into frustration and boredom, and boredom is actually a pretty high emotion. We start to get a whiff of positive expectation and hope, which is huge. And then we move into the kind of upper side of the spectrum, getting into positive expectation and hopes for the future, and joy and appreciation and love, stuff at the tippy top of the emotion. So when I say come as you are, it may be across the scale, right? And each time you come to the process group, you may be in different places depending on what's happening with you and happening at the world at large and how it's impacting your nervous system. So just anything's okay when we meet what is, and we do our best to do that it is supportive and mature way as possible. But it's not always easy, right? When we get triggered and there's stuff going on, and our bodyguards can come out for those parts of ourselves too. So this is inner work assistance. I think that's really a revolutionary act, right? To attempt to do one's mature inner work. So that's what I'm, that's what my passion is, and that's what I'm wanting to facilitate as much as possible in these groups. It's ongoing. I want to, at this point in time, I just feel a real pull to have a continuity, a through line here. And it's about growth. Me too. I'm a work in progress here. So I'm very much cooked and grokked through this process, and I'm very grateful for that. And hopefully there's growth going on here for other people as well. This is recorded. In that link that I put up into the chat, that's where you will find the recordings. You'll also find them on my YouTube channel. I'll get into some of the norms here about how you want to handle the fact that it's being recorded. It's really up to you. There's different options. Agenda-wise, we will jump in here and figure out who we are today and what we're working with today, but it's an emergent agenda, which means I come in open, and what you bring forth as individuals, and sometimes there's a theme in the group, that dictates the work that gets done at this moment in time. So it's an emergent co-created agenda. It's different every time. And again, see that process groups page for shared visual tools. I've put a selection, I have over 40 something tools that I've created over the years in my coaching practice and the other things that I do. And some of those, the ones that I think that are going to be of best use, are shared on that process page. So we may use those, or I may go to other things today, or maybe spontaneous stuff. In terms of roles, I see myself as the host, right? I'm a facilitator, I'm a coach. I'm trying to, as much as possible, come from a non-dual oneness perspective, which is a path that I'm on. I have this process kit, so I bring these templates. I also am in the midst of what's called the Kundalini process, which is, I think, important for me to say, because sometimes you'll see me do various things. My Kundalini process, how it impacts me, is very somatic, very energetic. So especially when energetics arise in the group, my hands and my body sometimes will do interesting things. So they'll do hand mudras, they'll have movements. Sometimes I need to stand up and move. I can talk more about that probably after we complete. If people have questions about that, I would also direct you to my website. I've written a couple blog articles about it, but just if you see me doing that, it's not that I'm having a fit or something, or I'm particularly nervous or jittery, although that does happen at times. It's more that there's the way I understand it, there's a larger aspect of me that likes to get in on the work here and is doing it from a subtle energy perspective. So my understanding of it is it's meeting and moving energy and working with energy. So my personality self, Christina, is doing her best with the visual tools, and my multidimensional self is doing something here with the energy. So anyway, that might land for you, or that might be like totally cuckoo for you, but that's who I am and what's up, and I'm doing my best to be transparent about that and explain it as I go along. So it may make an appearance. You guys are co-creators. This is co-built. This is, I'm a mere container offerer and holder here. So it's really built out of our 3D, our personality selves, and also your multidimensional selves as well, as much as I was talking about mine. So it's holistic. Head, heart, and gut, our three minds come into here, our full selves. And over here in the norms, this is being recorded, so if Pat's able to do this at this point, because she's having problems, Patricia Harris is my assistant who's having a bit of problems coming on and off here. What she will really usually do for me is, if anybody's having problems renaming themselves, I like to have last names off. So if you know how to rename yourself in Ning and you do want to have your last name off, please go ahead and do that now. If not, Pat, when she's able, and Jude, if you're able to assist with this as well, you can take the last names off of people. You are also welcome, if you care, to use some sort of pseudonym or avatar. I do prefer, given we're doing emotional processing, my preference is if videos are on, but I don't make that a solid rule, because there might be other things going on for people that's not your preference. So I am going to allow the on and off, which I have said before. I'll leave it to you, but please be cognizant that you know, we may be doing inner deep work here, and that can be disconcerting for the person doing it, to be looking at a bunch of blank screens. But again, if your druthers are that you don't want to be, particularly because of the recording on, I honor that. We'll find our way with that. Other norms here, please inhabit your own experience. What's going on in the world so much, it can be I can't think of the word, but it could be enticing maybe to come up with general statements that we think apply to everybody, kind of use statements. Sometimes we talk like that naturally. I would invite you in the process group. It's really important to own your own world, how these things are impacting oneself. So I may gently or maybe even firmly, if there's a lot of you statements going on, just invite you to reformat that into I, using I and me language as opposed to a general you or us, right? Which can get into assumptions because everybody might not be processing and feeling and these things the same way you are. Please, if you need to leave, if you could drop a note in chat to me or to Patricia or to everybody, just so I'm aware. Sometimes triggering happens and people leave and I'm left wondering, what's up? Are you okay? Sort of thing. So just like if we were in an in-person room, it would be a little odd if someone just stood up and left. So in this environment, if you would do the courtesy of just saying goodbye when you leave. Totally okay if you need to leave. Various things come up. These usually run for about 90 minutes. Sometimes we'll go a bit over. Critique concepts, not people. Stuff will come up. I try to keep it at the level of what is landing for you, and if there's charge or trigger around it, to identify that as opposed to whose mouth it's coming out of. So doing my best to get us to that level of things as opposed to the personal level. Notice a note talking about charges and triggers. I have to say this, it may not happen. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. But a lot of my work as a shifted coach is helping people and myself identify when there is charge and trigger going on in the nervous system. You may come in with stuff already that is charging you, understandably. There's a lot going on in the world right now that can charge at lots of different levels. And or it might be something going on particularly in the group that happens. And these things can happen lightning fast. It might be something that I do because I bumble and make all sorts of mistakes and can be unconscious to some of my blind spots and biases. And same things for other people going on in the group. There's a real opportunity in that if we can hang with it, right? So that's part of why I asked to have paper and pen nearby, because if there is something going on where you notice that your nervous system is getting charged, take note of it and write that down. And hopefully what we do in the process group will assist with that. If not, I'm going to point you back. Stick around afterwards and I can help a bit with it. I can direct you as well to the free recorded sessions I'm doing with individuals, where I can work with you if you care to be recorded, to work more deeply. The other thing is that over on that page, that process page, there's several tools that are really great for working with charges and triggers, particularly the orphan rescue tools and the polarity squares. So I'll talk more about that if that comes up. Okay. Now I'm probably should have done this one first. I have them a little bit out of order, but I want to pull up another chart here and just make a acknowledgement, territorial acknowledgement. There's so much going on for me right now. I just moved. I moved to a really special place. I'm outside of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And right now I'm in my art studio, but I just moved my home. And I moved to First Nation land, Beecher Bay First Nation, called the Shanuth peoples. And there is a sustainable community that is an economic development project for the band. And I have, and one of my neighbors is here as well, Brenda, thank you, who her and I have this connection with Spirit Bay. And this land that I'm on with the studio and the land that I am so lucky and privileged to live on with my new home, I feel it's a real resource for me, being grounded and being resourced by the land and its history. As challenging as that history is, I feel super blessed to be here. And I think it plays a special role in the groundedness that allows me to hold the container and do the work that I'm doing with people who come from around the world. So just a big nod and acknowledgement to the Channel territory that I'm on. There's a treaty process going on. Some of you may know in Canada, truth and reconciliation process going on across the country, attempting to work with the historical trauma and legacy of what's occurred here in Canada with Indigenous people. Treaty process happened in the 1850s. I'm learning a lot. There's a modern process that's been going on for 25 years, and the band that I'm living on their territory with is engaged in an ongoing modern treaty process. So it's really a remarkable place to be, contentious, and I think really leading edge. So I feel really blessed to be here. And I have the black bear here because last night I was leaving the community garden and I was going to do a little walk around, and then I went around a corner and so did a bear go around a corner, and this big massive black bear was there. Whoa, that was a little scary to be so up close with one. And just the energetic of the bear and the presence is still with me. And the medicine of the black bear. So I just want to evoke the black bear as well. I appreciate you showing up, and there's so much presence there and so much power. It's remarkable. Okay, so with that, let's find out what's up today. It's not mandatory that you check in, but if you care to, it's open there. And a check-in is name, geography, and then anything that you're coming with, right? This is a co-created agenda, so there can be all sorts of things that might be up for you that you're bringing with you to a process group. So let me know what's up, and if you care to have that as a potential agenda item. And I just find my way through the things that are merged today of what to bring our focus on as a group, and using whatever tools may be at my disposal. So leave it at that. Hopefully you know how to unmute yourselves. So feel free to unmute, and we'll just see who wants to check in and what agenda items might be here today.
Well, I'm happy to go first since this is my first time here.
Go for it, Melynda.
So my name is Melynda. I'm in Fairfax, Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C. I have been following you and your work, Christina, for many, many years. I had my first graphic facilitation training with Deirdre Crowley, who came from the West Coast to the East Coast years ago, and did a couple sessions with her. My background's in human capital and organizational development. So I got into graphic facilitation years ago, and then 3 years ago added coaching, and got trained in ICF certified in coaching, and just added that and went out on my own business about 1.5 years ago. Since the pandemic shut down, I've been asking all of my clients, what do you need more of? And my community and my neighbors, and all kinds of interesting projects and things pop up, which I feel really grateful to be able to help with. But just this week, actually yesterday and today, something's popped up, and I said, I've got to get on the process call and process this because it feels a little bigger than me right now, and I want to step into something bigger, and it's helping our neighborhood community association change the names of our streets and maybe the name of our community. We live in Northern Virginia, which was in the South, and so we have street names like Plantation Parkway and Confederate Lane and so the process has already been going on, and I, read about it in a newsletter and offered to help from a facilitative standpoint. Things are moving very quickly, and now, yeah, it's moving quickly. They're looking to a leader and really some structured support, which I think I have all the tools.
Mhm.
But the feeling that I have, it's like this, nervous energy of something positive, and that I want to be a part of. But, again, how can I do this with my peers, right? It's not a client, it's my neighbors. And I
Mhm.
don't want to mess it up because I have to live here. So that's kind of the natural anxiety, but I think, you have the tools and you'll have the experience. I figured I'd just pop in today for my first time and bring this.
Awesome. I got it. I got it on the list, and welcome. And
Thank you.
how brave to just jump right in. Excellent. Yeah. Um, Also, something I want to say, I can feel inquiry process with you, which is a lot of what I've been doing lately. And that's just really a way to go meet your consciousness, right? And which has all the answers. More and more, I'm like getting out of the way and just holding space for people's consciousness to show them what the messages are and what the direction is. So if we swing back to you, I think we'll be doing inquiry.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Who's next? Antonio? I saw your unmute go.
Yeah,
Yep.
no problem. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio. I'm from Santiago, Chile, in South America. I've also been following Christina for a while now. I'm friends with Heather Martinez, who has studied with you and for a long time. So she always spoke highly of you, and I've been following your work. And I really wanted to participate in one of these groups, so the chance finally arrived. So I'm
Awesome.
happy to be here. Yeah, I was thinking about what could I bring. I think, and now while I was listening, I think something that has been bugging me is that there's a weird energy inside where I work in. I work in a small, we're 9 people in a consultancy firm with about innovation, but there have been a lot of issues as people on the relationships uh, because it has been tough getting new clients, but overall it's been tough to have relationships between each other, especially from my coworkers. Just an example, she's been working on a project, and one of the partners on the company, she's a friend of mine, and she asked her to work on the weekend, but she's been really bossy and just pretty much following her on the weekend, and it's
Mhm.
something that she did to help, but she's not mandated to be like 24/7 connected to do the work. So she pretty much she agreed you only agreed on, okay, I will deliver it on Sunday at lunch, but she sent a message like on Sunday at 9 a.m. So how do I support that process? Because I've been trying to help bring in positive energy, not just complaining, but just helping. How do we make the negative energy to be flushed and to be sincere? Because it's not easy. There's a space. We have those Monday check-in meetings, but they don't work. They're just like a list of things we have to do. How are we? But everyone's being fake. They're not saying how they feel because
Mhm.
they don't feel the space for being confident. How do I help pushing that energy towards something that helps us be more sincere towards
Mhm.
helping a better environment, more sincerity, more transparency, but also I don't know. I feel some tense energy in there, and I would love to. I don't know. I know I cannot do everything, but to help pushing towards something else, proposing things, see if people get interested. I don't know. It's something that has been bugging me because it's affecting our relationships, and this crisis pretty much what has done it has reinforced them. Has multiplied it. So I feel the energy. I see it from the outside because I think I control it a bit better, but it also affects because nowadays we need to keep and take care of our relationships from within, of course, but with whom we relate, whether it be family, workers, or coworkers, etc., bosses.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I got if I could explain myself, but that's pretty much
Yeah,
what I
explain.
like
I get
to.
it beautifully. Yeah, and there's probably two levels of work in there. One is
or from rescue work. So there's a charge in there for you. It's upsetting for you, understandably, right? So that would be an exploration to do, which is to look at how you fit into that, and the upset around it, and also that inclination, like it is for all of us who are process professionals, right? We're in there here, this stuff for a reason of trying to get in there and fix it. So one would be at that level, and then the other level is more like at the OD kind of level, right? Of if you were to try to go in and hold space, how would one go about that? And
how do we start? Because they're not used to having that kind of space. I'm a visual facilitator, by the way. I didn't say that. I work in innovation for a lot of time, but for now, I think I found my true reason to work, which is as a facilitator. So that's why I feel really connected to what you do, because I love processes. I've been really influenced by Priya Parker, the art of the gathering, of really holding good spaces, you know. So how do we nudge a little bit to help human groups to change the flow of energy towards something much more positive, much more thriving, that helps the entire system?
I hear in yours, just like Melynda's, it's an intimate group, right? It's trickier when one is a part of it, right? So it's part of our firm, for Melynda, part of her neighborhood. So there's different dynamics there than a typical facilitator client project.
Yeah, it's not a big company. It's a small consultancy firm, 9 people. One of them is a friend of mine from years. I started working there, so she asked me last year to come back, and she wants me to be a partner. But I've been having doubts now. There's probably a third point, because I don't know if I want to be a partner right now. But it's been really interesting to see from the outside, to see how now that I've been really influenced by systems instead of just analyzing, you know, problems, to see how the relationships evolve. And some of them are positive, but most of them are really tense. So it's how do we also make it visible? Because I know if I use visual thinking, for instance, to make those systems available and visible, probably people can also figure out, okay, probably there's some patterns, some loops that are not working. So how do we get out of them? So I find that also challenging for me, because I want to help them, not because I want to be a partner, but I want to make a group better from where I think.
Got it. You're diving in. So let me truncate it there, knowing that if I'm able to go there, you're giving the good context already. Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah. Juicy topics. I see a hand up. Pauline, go for it.
I just want to support what Melynda and Antonio are talking about, because what I'd written down of, well, you know, sort of what I would bring or to think about for myself, what I needed to process was really where else I might be othering. We did some great work in the last week, the last processing piece, and that was like just one example of where in relationship we may
I ask you to own it. I
may other in that it's happening to somebody else, but where is it happening for me? And how do I help people step into that recognition of othering, that externalized piece? And so I know that there's a piece of work there, that there's an externalized numbness, that this is not happening to me because that's not my community, that's not my group. And so I'm, you know, and I don't belong in that group, and I can't speak voice to that group, but knowing that my work takes me to that group.
Okay. And you may not have said your name and geography if you want.
Oh, sorry.
Say hello to folks.
I'm on Treaty 8, Alberta, Edmonton, and you will hear an Australian accent, so I recognize my ancestors in Australia, and particularly Queensland, Mirrabah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to have you here again. Anybody else who wants to say hello? Hello, and where you are and what's up for you? If you have an agenda item. Christian, are you going for it? Great.
Yeah, I'll just say hello. My name is Kristen. I am just down the road from Christina in Victoria on Vancouver Island. And I'm feeling very very settled today, and just always happy to learn and grow with the groups that you gather together.
Thank you. Nice to have you as part of them. I hope things are going well in the school district.
But I have to say, it's nice to be on summer vacation and breathe. That's part of the settling, is just to have that opportunity. I'm always grateful for summers to be able to regroup and get kind of restore and get ready for the next one. But my goodness, this year was particularly needed. So I'm already feeling the benefits of that and feeling optimistic for the fall.
Cool. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I have a special guest who's attending, who's my cousin, Cheryl. So, Cheryl, you don't have to say hi to the group, but I just really want to acknowledge you coming. So it's really wonderful to see you. Yeah.
Okay, well, hi. I'm Christina's cousin Cheryl. I live up in Vancouver Island, little bitty place called Zabalas, and I'm here to learn.
Excellent.
Contribute what I can where I can, hopefully.
So pleased to have you here. Awesome to see
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hum, for coming. Brenda, yeah, Brenda, and then we got Jude.
Good morning. This is Brenda, Christina's member, Christina's neighbor.
I
know
remember.
where that came from.
You remember here.
Living in Shannon.
Yeah.
Living, this is it. I feel displaced. I'll explain why. Displaced, yet grounded. Lots of polarities happening here.
Yeah.
Right now, being in Chinook territory, Beecher Bay First Nation, Spirit Bay. Having traveled from Anishinaabe territory, Treaty 9, where my other home is, in Sulikout, northwestern Ontario, where I do work with the people of Treaty 9 and Treaty 3. And very honored to hold space in both of these lands, very similar in environment, in bears. It's interesting, I was walking about and the black bear song was in my head, and I was told I needed to bring something out to feast the bear. So it's interesting that you met the bear, Christina.
We're sensing the bear, were you? It was very close.
Well, I have a fear of black bears, which is interesting because I've grown up all my life in Canadian Shield, and black bears are helpers. So I'll resolve that. And so for me, it's displacement. As I say, I left my home in Sulikout last Tuesday, and it was very anxiety provoking going into the world after being in a bubble literally a bubble in the bush for 4.5 months, and venturing out into the world of COVID, and then realizing it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. And now being in a different environment with different people and settling into all of that. So as I was writing this morning and preparing to come to the group and preparing myself for the day, a lot of polarities happening, this and that, and gratitude and hesitation and worry and peace. And so though I am very grateful to be here. And
just polarities, you are welcome here, right? Just that complication and mix, like bowing to that. Yeah.
So thank you all for holding this space. It's good.
Awesome
to be here.
Nice to see you in BC. It's been a journey, right? Delayed for many months here for you to get here. So how great. Jude, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jude. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the United States. And I've been retired now for 1 whole week.
Congrats. Huge milestone. Oh my goodness.
My former life, for 31 years, was a business professor. I taught courses in management in a business school. So I'm settling into being retired, and really have appreciated, I've come to a number of these and have really appreciated the opportunity to do the dual processing or parallel processing, and just once again would like to thank you, Christina, for offering these and for your integrity and compassion.
Thank you.
That's what I'm bringing today, is compassion. I worked last week, so.
You taught us all a lot about compassion. Thank you. Yeah.
We'll leave it at that for now.
Cool.
Good to be here, though.
Yeah, awesome to have you here. Thank you. Going once, going twice. Please, Trisha. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Trisha. I'm in Duluth, Minnesota. There's a chainsaw in the background. Hopefully you can't hear that. I am also a student of Deirdre Crowley, so I think that's pretty interesting, Melynda. And I've been trying to bring visuals into my facilitation practice for many, many years. And I really needed the inspiration that you give through that work to help to feed my soul. As I am a facilitator, and I run a facilitation program where we have people across the country that are trying to help within the federal government, and haven't been able to be around people. And so actually looking for some ideas to help my facilitation practice in this virtual environment, because people really need, right now all we see are faces, and we need to also have those visuals that kind of go along with that to tell the story and to shape what's going on too. So I'm really here to see some of the process things that you do and see if there could be some application to what I do. And I've got boatloads of anxiety around the COVID stuff. So that's the drawing also helps me to process that a little bit too.
Yeah, I would direct you and others who are, and I emailed this, any of you and a lot of you here will be operating at different levels, but your process professional side is looking for how is she using visuals, what process is she doing, what is she doing container wise. I would direct you as well to the YouTube channel, because the ones that have blue covers are the process groups, and the ones that don't have blue covers are the individual. So that's a way to be at that kind of more head intellectual place, right? And here, come as the full human being who's doing the processing too, which I heard you say there, Trisha, with what you mentioned about COVID. So great. More than welcome. Yeah. Anna Elsa, hi.
Hi. It's been a while, so good to be back. My name is Anna Elsa. I'm in New York. Glad that we're no longer
I could say, are you still counting the days? Have you made it outside? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm still working from home.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I have to say that I lost a friend, a very dear friend.
Sorry.
To COVID. He passed away in DC, which used to be my home, Washington, DC. So recently went to his funeral in Pennsylvania. So I'm grieving, I guess is what I'm saying. And also adjusting to a lot of transition, both professionally, but also personally, because my organization just went through a major reorg. We're physically moving to a new location in the city. Have a lot of anxiety about going back to a new place in the middle of Manhattan. So that's, I'm just bringing myself to this space because I felt a need for having community and connecting with people. This is now the new way of connecting.
Yeah.
So just glad to be here. It's good to see you.
I'm glad to have you here, and I am just really feeling the loss of your friend. And if you want to say name or initials, just so we can just hold a little space for recognition of your friend. Yeah.
His name is Howard.
You're welcome here, Howard. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, welcome. I'm seeing some cameras coming on. You don't have to say hello, but if you want to, please go right ahead. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Christine. I just wanted to say hello. Actually heard about this from Anna Elsa, so thank you to her for including me and welcoming me. Myself, definitely going through a transition period as well. I'm about a month away from starting my doctorate, wrapping up a master's and a previous employment. So a little bit of anxiety, less around the schooling, more around the logistics of life as it goes forward. So financial, career building, and kind of trying to stay in the present moment instead of fearing for the future.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, guessing was going to unfold, right? So waiting to see what the heck does. Yeah. Are you in New York as well?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in Boston.
Boston.
So,
yeah.
Suburb of Boston.
Yeah. Okay. On that
Thank
eastern
you so
seaboard.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Yeah. Okay. Pauline's just posted presencing.org, which has some more resources for activating and transformative change online. Good. And Tricia, I'm welcomed. I emailed you some resources, and you're welcome to stick around afterwards. We'll do bonus time afterwards. We'll officially go, till an hour and a half, 2 hours sort of thing. But if there's things up, we'll do water cooler at the end. So if people want to ask questions about what technology I'm using, I do have a course called Shift into Digital Work, which gets into that in great detail. But I'm certainly happy to stick around and give you the cheat sheet on the quick answers, and you can go off and do it yourself. Yeah. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to take them in the order that they came. So Melynda, that would put you first off. And I do feel like inquiry would be an interesting place to start with you. So I'm just kind of thinking, let's turn it over to your higher consciousness and see what it has to say to all of us.
Okay, great. Look out.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to shift my seat here just to get this is one of the things with working online is just needing to keep your body moving and into different positions, because I'm getting different kinds of skeletal stuff happening as a result. So that's a little tip to everybody working online. Get yourself a tool, get yourself different kinds of chairs and places that you can keep your body kind of dynamic. So I'm doing that with moving myself onto a stool. I'm going to share my screen again. And I've got a blank sheet of digital paper up here. And in a way, this is like a really simple process, deceptively simple, like a lot of them. But you're just going to meet what is. And this is kind of the magic word for all this stuff for all of us, no matter what's going on. One of the most powerful things we can do. I'm called the shifted coach, which kind of makes one think that you have to shift and change and move things. But no, sometimes yes. But sometimes the biggest shift is just meeting what's here, right? And when one does, it naturally moves and shifts on its own, instead of us trying to manhandle it, human handle it, whatever, into being. So I'm just going to invite you, and I think it was Jude said the word parallel processing. So even if I'm working and focusing with one person and their particular thing they brought to the table, I really always trust the process and who shows up, why, to a certain process group, right? There's often cross things going on. We're hearing that already in some of the themes here. So some of what Melynda works and the topics that she's working may be very direct, and you might have those yourself, right? So the parallel processing is going to be really strong and direct. Others, it might just be other ways that this dovetails in for you, or even just some of the questions or things, places she goes, or things that I ask might trigger, in a good way, something in you, right? So just kind of be open and see what happens, and just be really aware, everybody, as I'm working with her, what's going on in your own system as you listen in and parallel process. Okay, so Melynda, we just want to get you and all of us, everybody, take a couple of deep breaths. And we'll move the body however you need to kind of shake up, because we were doing a lot of, talking and head work and left brain kind of stuff. So we just want to kind of shift our state, and it helps moving our body. Taking a couple of deep breaths. As we breathe in, relaxation, peace, and calm. Yes, please. And as you breathe out, just anything needs to kind of let go, right? And put behind us so that we can get here in the present moment. Same thing, just kind of letting go myself, breathing in, shaking off all the stuff we just did, and just getting present here. I'm aware of the tablet. I'm aware of all of you, but I'm particularly aware of Melynda. And as you're sitting there, Melynda, as you kind of come into your own body and being, we just want to go with whatever is most present right now. It might be a sensation in your body. It might be a thought. It might be an emotion. It might be something you're snagged or fixated on in your environment. I don't know. You're going to tell me. So what do you notice? Where do we start?
I think maybe, so the first thing that really is coming up is curious.
Okay.
On kind of several fronts, right? This is new. I love the sketchboard, so I'm curious about what this becomes from a physical process perspective. I'm curious about the challenge in front of me, helping lead our community. It's new, so I'm really curious about how it's going to unfold.
Okay, we can just get these down, and then we're going to just meet all of them step by step, because I always trust the order, right? Your psyche, subconscious, consciousness at large, whatever you want to label it, it's already presenting something and it's giving us in a particular order, and I always trust that order. It's like a little layer, like parfait glass, right? Those desserts, and they come in a particular layer, so just trust the layer. So the first thing, I'm going to invite you to just meet curiosity. Curiosity, you're welcome here. Hello, curiosity. Curiosity is a nice, kind of cool thing, yeah, as human beings. And then curiosity goes into specifics, and it might even shift from curiosity into something else. So the first thing we have is just kind of the doodads that are happening here as I'm doing what I'm doing with the digital tablet. And the computer, right, and your mind, and the kind of process geek and tech geek is kind of like, oh, that's interesting. What you doing? Yes. So for everybody who's in that part of you and anybody else, I'm using a Cintiq, Wacom Cintiq for my tablet. The software here is Sketchbook Pro. And again, I will stick around later and answer any of those kinds of questions, but just to your curiosity, so it knows that's what's up. Okay. So that's that side of it. So we just want to welcome it. Welcome the tech geek side. Yay, right?
Yeah.
And as you welcome, and when I say this, I mean it literally, like you can just go in and you're welcome to say it out loud. You can say it inside of you, but and anybody else who has this going on, like just, oh, hello, welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And I have, in addition to the welcome to the tech geek, this, oh, all right. You can come on into my practice now. And when you said the Wacom board, I thought, oh my goodness, I had one of those years ago and I was intimidated, and now look where I am.
Back at it, eh?
Welcoming it on in, and I will figure it out.
Yeah, good. And there's also some, and my word would be apprehension or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. So we just want to see, we could do, there's inquiry within inquiry here. So this, we just unpacked, welcome the tech geek, and welcome what followed on suit was the concern about that, the worry. There's one side that's yay, and there's one side like, oh. So we welcome them all. That polarity there of interested and scared.
Yep.
Just notice, I even feel my own body soften a little bit, right, as we just meet it and welcome it.
Yep.
And I'm going to, there's more that might emerge here, but that's probably another one. I'm going to find myself going back to the next that presented itself in rapid fire was the challenge in front of me. So you went to your community and the renaming of the streets and this kind of call for somebody to unfold the process or create a process, right? Some desire from some container holding and some leadership, at least in terms of process there. So we're just going to go to that. The challenge in front of me. You are welcome here. Boom, here it is, right? Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
No. I trust when they bark. It's kind of the perfect
The little
time.
ones bark the loudest, don't they?
Yes, and it was also probably picking up on the energy, because it's not just curiosity, right? There's just like up here, there's some apprehension or something. What is that?
So yeah, the challenge in front of me is, as you were talking, I was really reflecting on where I feel the safe space for myself is in creating the container for the group to have the dialogue and the dialogues, right? I'm very comfortable in creating the facilitative approach. You know, I know I'm going to use a human-centered design approach and bring the voices in. I'm comfortable that I can deliver that. Because of the content and that this is a passionate conversation around social justice, I feel like that I can't do. How do I handle, you know, what do I set up? Because I don't want to put myself in a position of, how do I handle people's emotions?
Right.
When they come up in the container. And I've processed emotion in an organizational context, in leadership team context, in kind of the team dynamics that Antonio was describing, right? In the emotion in the room that's not being said, and I can uncover that, and I'm comfortable having those difficult conversations. This seems new and different. For me, and it's very profound for people having the passion and emotion, and I don't want to let them down.
Okay, good. And let me put that and not let down. Good. Okay, so slow it down. We're just going to bow to all of that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, right? Oh, so the first thing is the comfort and the feeling of safety in being able to create the container. Kind of the structural side of it would be mine. So we want to meet that part of you, that kind of process pro, that take the emotion out of it. You know how to structure this puppy, right? So we just want to kind of bow to that part of you. Just hello there, structural process pro. Nice to have you here. Just like it was nice to have a tech geek, right? And then on the other side of it is the, there's some heavy duty emotions here. Yeah. I see a hand up, and Antonio, you're welcome to use the chat to me or to Pat. I'm going to hold off on interactions till after we're complete. Okay. So we want to welcome that side too, Melynda, which might be a little more challenging, right? Which is the, I'm not a pro in social justice.
Right.
And this is profound stuff going on, and I don't want to muck it up.
Right. And I'm learning too.
Good. So to that part, I'm learning to just say, you're right.
You're right.
You're right.
I'm learning too.
You're right. I'm learning.
We're all in this together.
Yeah, you're right. This is profound. You're right. I don't want to let people down. Yeah. The whole thing, like that which we resist persists, right? And a more drastic thing is that which we hate hates us back. So we don't want to resist. We don't want to kind of push that away, right? That the discomfort or that fear or whatever. We just, it's there. Like, you're right.
Yeah.
So good. I can just hear how you're responding, right? Something shifts or moves there as you just acknowledge. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
That's okay.
And we don't want to. This is delicate. We don't want to screw up. Understandable. Good. Now, there may be more that unfolds there, but I find myself pulled back to this next level that happened here was, how is it going to unfold? right? And you're starting to get into that a little bit with, I might be able to play with structure, maybe not with the actual emotional content. So, or maybe there might be some ways for you to do that or somebody else to do that, don't know. But just go to to me, this would be mind, and and maybe it's that process pro bit that already showed up,
Okay.
which is like, how is this going to unfold, right? What's going to happen? So we just want to acknowledge that part and then see what happens. As you go, oh, hello, whoever this might be, who wants to know how it's unfolding, and just see what
Yeah.
happens.
Okay. So I feel comfortable having more intimate conversations first and smaller group conversations first, and then kind of opening up the conversations to either more and more small groups in the community or larger conversations, as a way to really hold space for that emotional processing that individuals are going through, even so much as to, identify, where emotion and passion is high, and, embrace that and bring it in, where some of the community leaders now are afraid of high emotion and kind of, I've heard them describe two camps are developing, and, we need to listen to each other. Well, how does that unfold, right? From a structural aspect, I feel, from my comfort zone, how I can kind of take a slow roll into that and get a little more clarity and get some more folks with some clarity for themselves. And then as we create a core team moving forward, we can better serve the other folks that we want to engage with.
Okay, so again, beautiful, a whole bunch just unfolded. So we want to thank consciousness for kind of delivering all that to you. This is the next layer that's showing itself. And what starts to emerge, that structure side is going, okay, here's what we're going to do. Intimate first, right? So intimate first is showing itself. So hello, intimate first. Hello, small groups. Hello, individual processing. Hello, the need to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides, two camps, listening, and also bowing to emotion and passion. Might not have all the answers yet about how to hold that. That's okay, but there's certainly a longing to be able to do that. So let's recognize the longing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bow to that longing. That's an honorable longing. And a longing that's going on around the whole world right now.
And if I might, when you said the word longing, what really triggered, what it brought up for me is a just cause.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And I've been doing work with Simon Sinek's classes. I did the Find Your Why, Jumpstart Your Why classes. And, my why and my purpose is to create space for others to explore, learn, and thrive together. And this is actually, and I manifest that, and I say it out loud. And beyond that is his book, The Infinite Game, which is all about a just cause that lives beyond you. We come and go on this earth, but a just cause continues. And how is my why advancing a just cause? And as I've been seeking this out and learning and putting words to it, and I feel like now it's come right in front of me and I'm scared of it.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So you did it, and then you shifted. Before we shifted the fear, we'll get to the fear, understandable. Fear, we bow to you, we're coming. But let's go back to, out of the longing, popped all that incredible work that you're doing. And the reason you were there working with him and with his material is because that really spoke to you. And a just cause, right? So that desire for a just cause. So let's all just bow to a just cause. Yes, please. yes, please, to a truly just cause, and yes, please, to a just cause that lives beyond one, that connects to your why. Like, how nice is this, right? How beautiful is that? How noble is that? Of my purpose and my why being tied to a just cause, yes, please. And how these words, the explore, the learn, the thrive, are just so important to you. Let's just take a moment and bow to that. There's good emphasis again. Good.
Right. Yes.
It's emphasizing at all the key points. So yes, yes, yes.
I'm sorry.
It needed some additional music. Yeah. A just cause. Needed some
crescendo.
needed some sparkle there. Yes. Beautiful. Okay. So then what popped from there was fear, right?
It's big. It feels really big, bigger than anything I have engaged in yet.
Yeah.
It just feels big.
It is. You're right. You're right. It is big. Say that to it. You're right. You're right. This
You're
is
right.
huge.
It is big. You're right.
This is big. What happens is you acknowledge and say you're right to this is big. Yeah, take your time.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No apology necessary.
So I'm taking a big sigh, kind of, here we are. We're right at the, pick your metaphor, foot of the mountain, first step across the bridge. I don't like the mountain metaphor. It's not a mountain. It's a bridge. It's a unfolding of a pathway, the journey map or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's bow to that. All us visual practitioners, when metaphors start showing up, metaphors are so powerful. And your consciousness at large just presented you a slew of them. So there's a mountain, there's the bridge. So we just bow to that mountain, and we bow to that bridge, and we bow to the cliche-ness in a way, because we work with a lot of this stuff, and I heard that in you. It's like, well, here it is, all the metaphors, but that's why they come up, is because they're so darn powerful.
And the interesting, aspect of it is that for other folks who are not visual practitioners like we're like, yeah, let's find a metaphor. We understand what that does for people. But sometimes I feel like I have to back it up, right? To when I first experienced a metaphor and how that was so profound for me, because I might be introducing that to someone for the first time. And I think we take for granted sometimes, the skills that we have, and it's like, oh, poo-poo it. But actually laying out this conversation in a metaphor and the visual way just makes it so much more accessible and processible for others who might not, experience conversation and emotion that way.
Okay, beautiful. So now you're gonna eye that. You're gonna own it right back to yourself, because there's a part of you that's saying,
okay,
even though you in a way discounted the metaphor, like, here we go, boom, 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 here's some things we use. Now consciousness is showing back to you, which is like, go back to beginner mind with metaphor.
Beginner mind, right?
Yeah, and go back to these. We use metaphors. It's in a way, if I'm understanding right, it's saying these are important. Don't discount these metaphors. These are important, whether it's the mountain or the bridge or whatever ends happening. Don't discount them.
Yeah.
And remember, you just did it. Your subconscious said to you, these are so powerful. Remember the first time you encountered them and the effect they had. So we're bowing. Let's all bow to the power of metaphors, right? Getting the correct metaphor, because it's tricky when we don't have the right one, and often it needs to emerge from the group, right, as opposed to impose on it.
Yes.
But boy, I'm getting goosebumps because metaphors are so powerful.
Can I share a specific experience?
Go where your consciousness is going, if that's where you're going.
Just this morning, I was talking to one of the committee members, and we need a small, leadership team to provide guidance for the larger, folks in the community. And they felt like that might be the missing piece. So we're going to, try to build something like that with 4 or 5 people. So I went to my templates for team charter and, developing the leadership team, and a metaphor of, there's the bus and who's on the bus and what happens when you hit the pothole and, the gas tank, where do you get your energy from? And just this visual template that I've used in the past. And I said, that's what we need to do. And then my kind of little lizard brain said, oh, that looks so childish. Like they're going to laugh at you. But I recognize the power of metaphor. And so, that it's that, I think, coming from that fear part, it's my little, saboteur speaking.
Okay. Yep. Beautiful. So that's what next emerged, right? This just out of here.
My saboteurs showed up because I'm doing something big.
Yeah. But also the specific language was, it'll look childish.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it's childish, what's the fear underneath the childish? What does childish mean? I can't.
I don't have credibility.
Okay. So lack of credibility. Anything else? I often draw stuff that's childish, and I'm okay with it. But I also know places that I've been in where I'm not okay with it. So what's going on? If you come in with something childish, what's the worry or concern about it being childish? Lack of credibility. What else? It'll be seen as silly, or what? Or
it's a level of trust, because I don't know people, that if I present something like, trust me through the process.
Yep. Okay, so worries about trust. So, if I do a metaphor, I go to my visual skills. I'm afraid it's going to look childish, which means it's going to have a lack of credibility. I worry about whether people are going to trust me, like hang with me. I know you can even speak to that. I know this looks a little childish and goofy, but just bear with me, right?
Yeah.
Or you can work with somebody to take it up a level, a notch too, right? If you need to. And we'll say to the child, you're right. We don't want to look childish. We don't want to lack credibility.
And we don't want to diminish the magnitude of what we're doing here.
Right. There you go. So that's the fear in there, that it's going to look like you're not taking this seriously.
That I'm not taking it seriously.
Treating it. Yeah. So we just want to go, oh, you're so wise. Thank you. You're so wise. You're right. We don't want to diminish the magnitude. This is magnitude. Yeah. So you're right. Just say to it, you're right. Yeah. Good point. You're right.
You're right.
And, there's a lot, like I said, from a left brain point of view, there's a lot of stuff you can do so that it doesn't look childish.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just giving you good wisdom here. Yeah. Okay. See what happens now as you've worked that layer. What emerges?
Hopefulness.
We crossed the hope line. Excellent. Tell me about that. What do you
notice?
notice?
The phrases that you offer, and I think there might be some offers in the chat as well, is saying that you're right to yourself is acknowledgement. Saying that you're right out loud to the group, being able to say, actually, we're going to, the language that you just said, I know this might look childish. It looks simple, but here's what metaphor can do for us.
Good.
Right. And so I always say things like, it helps people be, show that they've been heard, right? They can see that they've been heard. It puts our language and our communication in a context with each other, and just describe it a little more so that it becomes more of that experience than what, you know, it might look like on paper. But also what you're offering is consider that actually what that metaphor and the visual looks like could be different. You know, I don't have to use that one. If it doesn't resonate with me, I could create something that does.
I'll always write a big draft 1.0, right? And also don't, the benefit for it looking childish is that you didn't actually invest a whole bunch of stuff, and you can say, I'm not tied to it. And this is a version 1.0, and take your kick at it. If there's something better that needs to emerge, it will, right? And so you demonstrate you're not attached, and it's like, what needs to emerge here?
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, good.
That makes me feel very hopeful that I have the language around, you know, that language feels to me like the planks on your bridge there.
Okay, good. So language is one of those planks, and here is language. Excellent. And metaphor is one of these planks, I guess, in here too, eh? Yeah, excellent. And then some of the other things you have, like the intimacy first. Okay, good. So your bridge is starting to be a little built there. Let's go to the hopefulness. Let's welcome it. Well, hopefulness, you are welcome here. Yes, please.
You are welcome here. We need lots of you.
Yeah, just see as you recognize hopefulness and you thank it, and it's saying things like, you know, you have the language. See what happens as you meet hopefulness.
Yeah, we can be better together.
Ooh, nice.
That's what, you know, the folks are talking about right now is, well, what might we be? What would we change our name to from General Mosby? We live in Mosby Woods. Who else should we name it after? And I'm like, let's reimagine what we can be together. What are our values as a community? And that's really what we need to, you know, keep striving for.
Okay, beautiful.
And everything else will come out.
Okay, good. What wisdom there. Let's bow to all that. Yes, 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 till we can be better together. Yes, 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 till we can reimagine, and we can do it as a community. Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Nice work. Nice.
I bow to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Nice little sat song there. Perfect. The sage within. Many sages here. Okay, piece of work done there, maybe parallel processing going on. I want to, if there's anybody who wants to respond to Melynda and to the work that she just did, please do. If you, let's take that intimate interaction first. If there's questions about process side of it, let's hold off on that. I'll happily answer those kinds of things and facilitate a conversation at the end here. But anything anybody wants to share about parallel processing or comments to Melynda and her work? Just go ahead and unmute.
So totally grateful, Melynda. I get completely your metaphor and where you came from and the fears and for me, feeling an imposter sometimes in that space. Mm-hmm. And the ability to hold that space. And I love the passion to explore and learn and thrive and to hold. And kind of what emerged for me in the leadership space was around, I used to use this metaphor, you know, sort of which has been used in the past, which is build a bridge and get over it. Well, it's not a case about building that bridge and getting over it. It's about what are the planks in that space.
Yes.
What is the language that we use? And one of the big terminologies that I was introduced to this week by one of the elders in Australia was around allegorical narrative.
Okay.
And it uses metaphor in the structure of life and the characters that are built around it. And so it is a mature way of expressing metaphor. And so I found that opened up what I had always believed in myself as being a childish metaphor, or me putting a childish approach on my graphical facilitation.
Right.
Because I'm not an artist,
Right.
and judging myself around that. That just opened up so much for me. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for offering that allegorical narrative. Yeah.
So
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can I add something, Christina?
Please.
Just something that came up. Why do we continue, or people continues denying the presence of child when conversations, you know?
Right,
Why?
like it's a bad thing. Yeah.
Like, is it right? I don't know, that came up to me immediately. Every time we try to come up with something that remembers children or whatever, they say like, oh, this is not serious, right?
Yeah, so denigrating of the child.
Yeah.
Nice point. Thank you.
And it's actually the childlike curiosity that we need to be in as we do this work. I like that language to acknowledge that presence as maybe one of the planks in the bridge, is to invite your childlike curiosity to help us through.
Yeah, so healthy child qualities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff we talk about inner children and where it gets a little toxic, but there's the dichotomy of it, the polarity. Let's go to the healthy child, not the toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Antonio.
Framing of the work. Lovely. Good. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to save this. I'm going to bring up another sheet of paper. How are we time-wise? 10, 11:30. Well, I guess that's 90 minutes, huh? Wow, that goes by quick. Antonio, if you want to stick around, I'm willing to do another inquiry with you, even though we're at time. But what I'd like to do is officially close the container for those who need to leave. If you don't have time, then we'll hopefully catch you at another time, or sign up for one of those free recorded sessions, and I'll happily do that with you. Do you have time? Let me just see. Do you want to stick around and we'll work yours?
I have time, by the way.
Okay.
Me, of course.
Okay, so you can stick around. So I'm going to stick around and I'm going to do another inquiry with Antonio. Anybody who wants to stay, you're welcome. Anybody who needs to wrap time-wise, I'll give you the opportunity to say goodbye. Anything that you want to say to close out, please go right ahead.
I need to go, and I just want to say thank you. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you and the groups that you gather around you.
Thank you, Kristen. Awesome to have your energy here in the mix. Thank you.
See you again.
All the best with your summer integration time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else needs to say goodbye? I'm just going to check the chat too.
Yeah, I have to go to Christina, so I just want to say thank you and come back.
Okay. Time. Yep. Excellent. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. And it's been good to connect. Keep well.
Thanks, Brenda. You too. I'll see you around.
Mm-hmm.
See you around Spirit Bay soon. Yeah. Yes, and anybody who's needs to turn off their cameras, they're welcome to do that. Yeah. Okay, so with that, you got some stuff going on in your consulting firm. You got some stuff within you in reaction to the stuff going on in the consulting firm, and then you got the stuff of the consulting firm. So here's where I'd like to do the same process with you if you're up for it.
Yeah, totally.
Good, and we'll see where consciousness takes us with you. If it takes us to the personal or it goes to the collective first, I'll trust its order. So I'm just going to invite you, just like we did with Melynda. Everybody stand up, do a shake. To Melynda, what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. We just kind of give her stuff, back. Do a little shake, right? Get a fresh state here as much as possible. Now we're going to sit into Antonio's world, and his consciousness will guide all of us as we parallel process and learn from everybody. Everybody's a sage who shows up here. Okay, Antonio, so just breathe. All of us breathe. As we breathe in, relaxation, peace, and calm. We let go, just anything that needs to be let go of from earlier in the day, from the great work Melynda did. Any thoughts, queries, or questions, just letting those go and getting present in the now. Antonio, as you center into your now, just becoming conscious of what is most up at this point in time, particularly around this issue that you've brought forth. It might be an image, it might be a feeling, it might be a thought, whatever the heck it is, we're just going to welcome it, and it's where we're going to start. What emerges for you?
I'm going to follow my gut, and constantly what I heard, or the word that came up to me constantly until now, and I even noted it down because it has been throughout the session while I was thinking about it. Inevitably, it was uneasiness, a feeling of uneasiness. This whole issue makes me uneasy because I have a thing of, not a problem, but in one hand, the founder of the consultancy firm is a friend of mine. I started working there, so for me it's weird because this company it's curious that like 10 years after I started there working, now I go back to it, so it has some sort of full circle. So yeah, let me stop at that one, following that thread.
Yeah, very good, thank you. So we're gonna just acknowledge uneasiness. Uneasiness, you're welcome here. Hello. I see you, I feel you, uneasiness, I'm aware of you. And probably there's very good reason, so I acknowledge, yes, to paying attention to uneasiness. Yeah. And also the part about the entanglement, maybe the complication, the various layers and levels in there, because the founder's a friend. And there's also been this kind of coming and going and circling happening for you. So uneasiness is pointing you to that layer of things too. And so we're just kind of bowing, like, thank you for pointing that out. And just see what happens as you meet uneasiness in that way, and particularly where uneasiness is pointing. Just see what unfolds from here.
Yeah. Another thing that I think it also comes from uneasiness. It's also it has to do with what's unsaid. What's not being said.
Okay.
It's things are not being said. I feel like I'm in the middle of something because I have, for instance, I'm friends with a couple of girls that work there too, and they also are quite exhausted, from this whole uneasiness. They feel it. They are stressed out, but I feel I'm sandwiched in between my friend, which she has her own point of view. She's of course older. She's like 50 years old. She's a different generation from this other group of people that feels different, and so. I also feel that uneasiness. I think besides the unsaid, because I feel like I'm sandwiched in between two groups, right?
Are you literally Gen X? You're probably a little younger. Are you literally generationally in the middle too?
I'm 36.
Yeah. So you're.
Yeah, my friends are a similar age of me. For me,
yep.
One is 40, another one is I think 37, like me, or 38. So
okay,
yeah,
so
my friend is 50.
And you got 30s and 40s here. Yeah.
Yeah, she just turned 50, from what I remember. Yeah, her birthday was a few years ago.
She's a Gen Xer. Yeah.
Yes, she's a Gen Xer. So
Yeah.
there's a generation difference between.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
So let's slow it down. So a lot there. So I'm just going to get it down. Get the generational differences in here. And then we're going to go back up to the top with all the gifts that consciousness gave you. So first off, consciousness is pointing out it's what's not being said. So we want to thank it for that. You're right. Okay, I'm paying attention. It's what's not being said. Okay, message delivered. And then it's also saying to you, and oh, by the way, there's also in the middle stuff. This is part of your uneasiness. And so, hey, you're right. Thank you. You're right. I'm in the middle. I'm in between two friends and two colleagues, the older Gen X boss and the contemporary colleagues. And it's uncomfortable for you being in the middle. And also this uneasiness around generational differences, which is big in our world. It's huge. So we're just acknowledging and welcoming it. Like, you're right. Hello, there you are. Generational differences. Hello.
Yeah. And as I continue pulling that thread, I think uneasiness continues being, because I also feel uneasy because I feel that that I could help them. That uneasiness of like when your hand itches, you know, when you want to do something.
Okay.
So, because I think from where I stand at right now as a facilitator, not as a consultant. This is a consultancy firm. Now I feel more in my connection with myself as a facilitator of processes. It makes me uneasy to see that those groups very much not talking between each other, not communicating really, you know, a meeting saying I'm okay, but not being honest about what you feel is, of course, uncomfortable for me. But that uneasiness of wanting to do something, you know. But and on the other hand, what I will tell you quickly what I wrote, like automatically, you know, I was feeling on one hand, how do I hold the space? But on the other hand, maybe I don't have to do anything. You know, it's a group of people, and you don't always have to be the savior. You know.
Right. Okay.
You
Very
don't
good.
always have to. Yeah. Let it flow, right?
Okay, beautiful. So much unfolded there. So we'll just take it step by step. So first off, out of the recognition and the bowing to generational differences, out comes the itchy hand. And there's a lot in those itchy hands. There's the do, right? Literally the physically doing through the hands. But then there's a polarity flips. It goes from do to like do nothing, right? Kind of let go.
Yeah. Let flow, let go.
Yeah, let go, let flow. Yeah, good. So we're just going to bow to that polarity that exists in our hands. That one impulse is to hold and to do, and the other is to let go and to flow. So we're just going to just bow to that huge polarity there. That's a big one. So we're just going to take some time to meet that and to say, you're right. There's so many things that could happen here between doing and being. And then you pop to a big realization, which is about the savior, right? So something in there about savior syndrome. And you're right. Probably not a great idea to jump in there and be savior. Thanks for that. As lovely as that is, right? That wanting to help and wanting to be of assistance and having skills and stuff, right? So we can see that, again, the two sides of it, the wanting to be of service, and then I might be doing my savior thing. Might be wise just to let it flow. So that's another layer of the polarity. So just acknowledge it and agree with it. And just see what happens as you do that, Antonio. What do you notice?
it has to do also with the idea of being a savior, and I also wrote it. It's about, I would like feeling the need, I don't know if the need, for leaving a legacy on that place. As I told you, I'm doing like, I feel like some sort of full circle.
Yep.
And I didn't go out on the best way possible. It wasn't on a, on a high note, but now, yeah, I feel some sort of, I don't know if need of personal need for closing that circle in a good way and leaving a legacy. Because at that full circle, I learned a lot of new things as a facilitator of holding processes, of holding containers.
Mm-hmm. Good. So there's something in here with that legacy. And so just agreeing, you're right. Like, you're welcome here. Like, there's an element here of leaving legacy. Savior saying, it's not just about Savior, thank you very much. It's also a leaving a legacy layer. I want to go out well. I want to go out on a high note. So just agree with that. You're right. That would be great to go out well and on a high note. Yes, 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 please. Doesn't mean it has to necessarily be through this thing, but that impulse of wanting to leave a legacy, or it might. But that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, or feeling that I can do something about it. Sometimes you feel empowered, or you feel like you cannot do anything about it. But now that I've learned all these new tools, I would like, because I also like humans to get along, and I have some sort of bond with that company because she received me while she was starting. There were like 3 people. And now we are in the midst of a big crisis, not just because of the quarantine, because a lot of people exited the company. We are a small team now. There were like 15. So that idea of knowing that you can help, I think it also can relate a little bit to what Melynda's felt, where she can do something about it. But on the other hand, yes, I feel that tension between, do I do something? Do I hold it? Do I move somewhere? Do I try to save it? Or probably not. Or maybe the harmony or somewhere in the middle is the answer, not just on the extremes of doing nothing or doing something.
Okay, very good. So out pop there with the wrestling of all these different polarities, out popped was the middle.
Yeah.
So let's go back. You're moving beautifully. We just don't want to move too fast. So just want to bring acknowledgement to all these different polarities. And these might be polarities that you'll want to do polarity squares on, that you find over on that process page, okay? Because they're probably showing up in other areas of life too. So the hold or do nothing, that's a polarity. Then the do and be is a polarity. The empowered and disempowered is a polarity. So we're just like, whoa, heck of a lot of polarities here, right? So no wonder there's so much unease. And then as you're wrestling around with that, consciousness popped out the middle. Maybe it's not these extremes of this and this. There's something in this middle. So we're just going to bow to the yes, please, the middle, and see what happens.
Yeah, the harmony, the equilibrium.
Beautiful, beautiful. Excellent. Now we're getting more harmony, equilibrium. Out of those. Yes, please. That sounds great.
Also, because of that uneasiness, I keep going back to that. I think that was a good, it's weird that it was automatic, but I now feel it's part of all, because I feel that something is emerging out of all this.
Yes.
Liminal, we're on a liminal part where I remember that definition of crisis when something that has to be born hasn't been born yet, and something that has to die hasn't, died yet. So I feel that, that feeling, jittery feeling of uneasiness. Also probably the hand itching can also be a part of that, of feeling something, a change emerging, and people are not are blocking the emergent, blocking to what it is emerging. So that's probably also a part of uneasiness. I think
Yes,
so. Yeah.
yes. So next layer has just emerged here as you've done all the work of meeting everything so beautifully. And then the middle and harmony and equilibrium emerges. And then the mind's like, oh yeah, hey, this is the liminal stuff we've been studying, all right? Like, it's like, here it is, I'm living
Yeah.
it. This is a liminal emergence. Yes, yes, yes. And then boom, some of the biggest polarities of all, death and rebirth. Bam, bam, right? And then, you know, hey, change is emerging. This is emergent. You've got kind of the mother of all case studies, you're living it, right? So it's
Yeah.
running through you. So how amazing for somebody who's interested in a soul who's playing with all this stuff. It's funneling right through you. So we're just gonna bow, 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 bow. Yes to liminal emergence. Yes to death and rebirth. Yes to change emerging. Yes to get out of the way. I think you said too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let
I
it
don't have to do
emerge.
anything.
Right. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Don't have to do anything. Good. Let's put you in here. So bowing to that, I don't have to do anything. Just see what happens as you do that on the heels of everything else you just did. See what happens. How's the uneasiness? Did it shift to something else?
Yeah, much more peaceful.
Yeah.
Not, my hands are not itching, just let it happen, you know. I don't have to think about something. I don't have to give advice. I don't have to, you know,
Beautiful.
break my head trying to unfold this, solve this, because
yeah, poor mind's been trying to figure it all out, right? So it's like, it's okay, mind, you can take a break here. This actually isn't for you. As great as it is to have a mind, and we bow to the mind, but this is not about thinking. This is not about advice. This is about let it happen, as I think you said.
Yeah, and weirdly, I'm not even a partner. I was invited to being one, so I'm also trying to put myself a hat. I'm not even in yet. So
okay, good. So it's not my pay scale. Ain't my pay scale, not my job. I'm not getting paid to be a partner here. Why am I waiting in there? Yeah. Okay. Let's bow to that. Wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. Okay.
Yeah, or the so-called advice trap, right?
Right.
Trying to the consultant trap. You always think you have to fix something.
Okay, very good. Yeah. And sometimes that's right, and sometimes it's not. And in this case, you're getting it. It's not. Yeah. So we're just bowing to that. Yeah.
I need to listen more. That is something that I can apply in my personal life in general. I talk too much, and sometimes I just have to let it flow. Just be peaceful,
beautiful,
mindful, and maybe you don't have to do everything. And I remember the idea of being, the Zen archer. When he feels the moment when to shoot, he doesn't shoot a lot of arrows. He just sends one. That is the one that arrives to the exact point. So I can reconnect myself with that of being also a facilitator, a good facilitator, and a good. I don't have to do everything. Just have to probably do a thing. So it's not always about throwing 10,000 arrows. It's throwing one and feeling mindful of that one, and
yes,
being at peace first with myself. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, good. Peace first with self.
So.
Yep. Okay, let's bow to that. Yes, please. Peace first with myself. Not 10,000 arrows, but that waiting and that a thing, potentially one. And that peace with self, all coming from peace with self first before any arrows get thrown. Yeah.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, probably that arrow that you draw below liminal emergence has already been thrown. So I instead of blocking it, I should flow with it, Flow with that arrow.
Yep.
Probably
Yep.
it's not from my own behalf that I have to throw the arrow. I don't have to throw it by myself. I just have to help the arrow to be thrown and flow with it, with everyone, you know.
It's already in the field, right? It's already there.
It's already in there.
Doing its magic. So, yeah. Okay, very good. Bowing to all that consciousness reflecting back to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All the wisdom it shared with you. Just see if there's anything else that wants to come out at this point in time. You may be where you need to be, and the inquiry may continue on from here. But since I'm taking the notes, see if it wants me to mark anything else before we complete. Seeing what's there.
Instead of seeing that something is being blocked, maybe I'm the one that's blocking that, you know.
Right.
I'm the one that's getting on the way of something that probably, if I wasn't there, would happen anyway. So.
Okay. So acknowledgement there.
To listen to the system, you know, more to be more mindful of the system instead of what I can do about it. You know, look at from the outside and just, you know.
Beautiful. Yep. And just see what happens to your nervous system as that wisdom comes through.
Yeah. And listening from that point of the mindfulness of the system, not listening from what I think about it, you know. You tend to do that when you hear an opinion, or I don't know, I don't like how I feel, I want to change work. I should think or listen to that opinion from my partner from another perspective, from a broader perspective, and not getting in the way of that, just helping out, probably to that feeling to continue to flow, because it's in motion as we speak. So.
Beautiful. In motion as we speak. So bow to all that and thank it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I started out here with uneasiness, and you helped me. You're saying this to consciousness. You helped me unpack all of this. And now I'm seeing, what do you know? I was the one getting in the way there. Thank you for pointing that out. I can be mindful of the system. I can let it flow. I can take a broader perspective. It's in motion. It's already in motion. So just let it birth here. Let what needs to die. See what bursts. This is a liminal emergent process in front of me. At first, peace first with myself, instead of unease, going within and getting peaceful and seeing what the heck happens from there. Very good. Okay, see if there's anything else.
I'm even remembering myself that I told a couple of them that were saying that they want to leave the company. I was trying to get them out of it, and probably that was bad also, you know.
Okay, so now it's like I don't need to talk anybody into anything. If they want to do something, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good,
That's
Antonio. Yeah, beautiful. Whew. I'm just pausing because this is a lot flowing. And the big lessons from your consciousness, right? So thank you, sage. Each person who comes is a sage and has we're all parts of consciousness, and as each person works, it has such wisdom and messages for all of us in all sorts of different situations. So I'm just really bowing to both Melynda and to Antonio, sages who showed up and were willing to do the inquiry process, and then all of us here, and then ideally as a collective, we're all connected. So doing this kind of work can really help the collective. I just think it's so important right now. So I thank everybody who's come today to do what was our emergent process and co-creation here today. I think it's just really beautiful. Thank. Let me open it up for closing comments. So first off, anything that you want to say to Antonio with the work he did, parallel processing, how it's landing. Let's start there, and then we'll move to just closing out the container, any comments, and then I'll stick around if there's technical questions and stuff like that. Yeah.
I really appreciated the messages about listening and getting out of your way, but me getting out of my own way too. And trusting the process. And that came through in Melynda's as well.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that was a big theme today. So thank you both. And you.
Thanks, Jude. Awesome.
It felt to me that toward the end, when you kind of were looking at the shift of, maybe getting out of my own way. And I'm just curious, maybe more of a question than a comment, if Antonio, might share, how are you feeling right now?
Sorry, I missed the question.
She's wondering how you're feeling.
The Zoom froze.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you.
You started with uneasiness and a lot of stuff shifted.
I was just, yeah. Yeah, I wanted just to share that, but so Melynda is really on the spot there. I feel now much more calmed, like more mindful of just being at the moment. So yes, I feel much better now, and I think that this really helped me to bring more peace to the whole thing, because it can get stressful more so when it's personal,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you should be in this point of being calm and not having any feelings of changing things or doing things out of the blue, but just be mindful of it and listening more to the system and flow with it, but not trying to, the uneasiness probably was not good, because I would act out of, impulsiveness and not mindful of where I am. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, my parallel processing, the reason I asked you is I was feeling relieved for you or for myself, but hearing your conversation, I felt more relieved, like, oh, I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to do all the things. And so I was just curious how you were feeling. Thank you.
Yeah, the exact thing. Yeah, sometimes the collective has the answer, not just we are, That is magical too.
Thank you, Antonio, and thank you, Christina. When Christina asked the question, did anybody want to go? I got the message of hell no.
Understandable, you are right. Yes.
Hell no.
Okay, yeah.
Why would you want to miss out on something such a gift? And sort of like just so much spoke to me. And what really came out of it is we started this session with where we're walking on this land, and so the handprint and the connection to the work and the flow of what am I contributing to, and then the question around the footprint is, do I choose to leave a footprint in here? And so from empowered to unempowered, there's motion in this, and being a witness to what's going on, what's not mine. What really resonated was being a midwife to this process and helping, as a midwife, you're not pushing the baby out. I'm not pushing the baby out if I'm a midwife. I'm being there as a support system, and so just being present to that. And knowing, sort of sometimes my interior condition is my intervention. And
yes.
It doesn't need to be my intervention.
Yeah, wow.
So thank you. Hell no, yes.
Yeah, bowing to both. Sweet, thank you. I'm just coloring your chart over this side. I know I don't have it shared, but anybody else comments, questions for Antonio? And then if not, we'll just segue to close out statements for today. I think it's closeout statements. Who wants to go first?
Just to wrap it up, I now feel that I just have to, maybe my place in that, all that process is holding people and containing them, right? Embracing them, just making them feel that I'm there instead of trying to change something from
Manipulate it. Mm-hmm.
Manipulate it, just contain them, hold them, as I'm doing now. You know, if they feel bad, okay, I feel you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just being there.
Meet it instead of hold it. Just like meet it, allow it, welcome it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Not denying it. Instead of saying hell no, hey, welcome to this big problem, you know.
Big complicated birthing process that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. The kerfuffle, you know.
Yeah. Totally.
Welcome to this. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Thank
Bow
you.
to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you. The biggest gift to me is seeing that Christina's sign for polarity is the infinity sign, which is also the inhale and the exhale, and such a gift of these sessions. So thank you. I honor who you are. I see you.
Thank you, Pauline. Right back at you. Not necessary to do a closeout, but if anybody else wants to, please go right ahead.
I'll just speak a little bit. I came into the session stressed because I had some really odd technical difficulties, crazy technical difficulties. And I'm leaving with a lot of peace. I did a lot of processing during both of those, and Antonio's left me with.
Nice.
Very nice. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for hanging in there, Pat, and getting on.
It was like Melynda. It was like, oh, I need to do these other things. It's like, wait, I can turn off my camera so people, because it was like, no, hell no, I don't want to leave.
I appreciate you coming, especially on a Sunday. Yeah.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your welcoming me this first time. It was a great experience, and thank you, Christina, for just for everything and holding space for me to work through this. I feel like I want to come back again and tell y'all how it's going.
Please do. Yeah, it's profound stuff you're doing. So all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm every time I come to these things, I leave feeling that shift it is a great phrase that you adopted to describe the process and the work that you're doing and that we're doing together. So I feel really grateful for that, and hope everyone does well in their efforts to shift.
Yes to that. Yes, yes, yes. Thanks, Jude. Okay, is that where we're at? I think we might be there. Going once, going twice. If anybody else wants to closing statement. Okay, thank you for coming. We never know what it's going to be, so that's what it was today on July, whatever we are. I never know what day it is. I'll write it in the notes. Talking about dates, this is emergent. So Pat will turn around the maps and the audio and video. You'll get a notification. You're all on our confirmed members list. You can opt out of that at any time, but you'll receive the follow-up from the session today, and you'll also receive notifications on when the next ones are if you care to drop by. It's totally drop-in, so come when it works for you. And also you can find the recordings from the group sessions as well as the private individual sessions that I do. And if you want to have a private individual session, it's limited to one. So some of you have already done them, but if you haven't done that and you'd like to, you can check out what that's about over at YouTube. Just like the process group, it's different every time. So you may have something similar to what you see happening on YouTube with others, or there may be something completely different that happens that you bring to the table. So that's there as a resource as well. I don't know when the date of the next one is. I'll just take a look at my schedule and I'll feel into it. And Pat will send out the announcements and let you know. Also, there's a couple things coming up. I am doing a full Shift It online retreat, which is 17 of my base tools, what's called my Shift It Map Pack. I waited. I've had to reschedule it twice this year because of events in the world, and it's now going to be an online intensive. It's August 21 through 23. I'm doing it as an intensive over those 3 days. There's 3 90-minute sessions a day, and if you are interested in doing it, you'll want to book those 3 days off of your calendar so you have lots of gestation time as you move yourself through the maps. Parallel processing online as I work with people, but also when we're outside a session too. Pat and I have been working on getting those details up on the website, and I think we've got them all done and ready now, eh, Pat? So I think that one's ready to go. I will be sending out emails, but you're the first ones I'm letting know that that's coming. And then Visual Coach Certification, which is my program where I train and certify other practitioners who work with individuals. And it's a vast variety of practitioners, from coaches and therapists and counselors to financial planners, mediators, lawyers, lots of different people who work with individuals. We have 2 or maybe 1 spot left. I'm sure there'll be some wiggle around movement. That starts in September, and then the next one will, it's not on that website, but feeling into it, the next one will be in April is what it's feeling like. Pat and I haven't organized that yet, but we will have that up in the site. There's 2 prerequisites. You have to have something that you do with individuals that ethically enables you to work with them already. And that can be a whole gamut of things. And then the 2 official prerequisites are being through Shift It, so you understand what that's about and going through that as an individual. Some of the tools that you see me using here in the process pop-up are a part of that. Some of them aren't. So going through that, and so you can make an informed decision. Are those tools going to be useful for you in your practice and toolkit, right? The other prerequisite is having something that taught you about working visually. Either my program, The Fundamentals of Working Visually, or several of you have mentioned other practitioners like Deirdre Crowley, et cetera. Dean and I go way back from the Grove, might be the Grove. You mentioned Heather Martinez, not so much, she's doing lettering, which is awesome. She's starting to move now, I think, more into graphic recording side of it, but you get the gist, right? If you've got something that taught you how to work visually, you've got that prerequisite, you've got an equivalency already. So that's the kind of things that I'm looking for, because I'm not starting from the base scratch. I want people equipped. They understand Shift It, they understand working visually to some extent, and then you come together in the cohort. And I'm really teaching you about my tools, and then it's experiential, getting you as quickly as possible working with people, because I feel that's the best way to learn them. Okay, so that's it. There'll be more stuff that's forming for the fall, but those are the 2 ones that seem relevant to share at this point in time. Okay, take good care, everybody, and all the best out there in the world. Bye.
Thank you.
Very welcome.